reason being, he says, the songs of Jayadev Goswami, we're not qualified to sing his songs. They're so elevated. However, Srila Kamala doesn't sound like it is, but Prabhupada put it in there. And the song we're going to sing now is also by Jayadev Goswami. Interesting. This is the only song Prabhupada wrote in the same letter. He said, you can sing the Dasavatar Stotram, but none of his other songs. And he said, including Shrita Kamala Kuchamandala Hey. We used to sing it all the time. It was our favourite song. And I understand why you're singing it. But Prabhupada said not to, so much to say. I have to control my senses for the last 20 years, 30 years. I haven't sung it. At least not in public. No, not quite. You're going to have to be a little bit better situated than that. I can't see that. It's got to be exactly there. I can't see a dicky bird. Not that I want to see a dicky bird, but I can't see one either. Huh? Can you do that? You're a good book stand. If you need a book stand, we've got one here, looking for a job. The page 97, you haven't got songbooks, huh? No songbooks?
They're bringing it.
Where from?
They got some.
Which ones? I hope it's not that Songs for Beginners that's just been published in Madras. I found this book in Malaysia a few months ago. It was just published in Madras by some devotees, called Songs for Beginners. It had 6 of Jayadev Goswamis in there. It had all kinds of Rasika songs, really Rasika songs. Songs, traditional Brijbasi songs, Hindi songs, Bengali songs, no author mentioned, and on, really elevated stuff. And the title was Songs for Beginners. I immediately took it off. I asked the boys there, the authorities, to take it off the bookshop and withdraw it from their market. These songs may be fine, but we're not supposed to sing what we want, left, right and center. We're here to sing the songs which will evoke the mercy of Krishna, which will please Krishna, not us. And those songs are appropriate to our particular stage in devotional service. Prabhupada has given us some guidelines to follow, especially in terms of which songs. How we sing them may not be so precise, but which songs, he's given quite a lot of guidelines, so to speak. The older boys don't seem to be very fortunate. They don't take advantage of Prabhupada's offering. Because if we please Prabhupada, you'll get Krishna's mercy. We're not here to sing songs, we're here to love Krishna. We're here to please Krishna. Hare Krishna mantra has everything in it. So you have no songbooks. Okay, I'm just going to sing the 3rd verse, and if you have a songbook, follow on. Number 3, I won't sing the rest. Today is the appearance day of Lord Varahadev. You know who Lord Varahadev is? Who's Lord Varahadev? Huh? Varaha. Huh? He's a very boring incarnation, you said? He's not at all boring. He's very exciting. Boar. The boar. Super. Vasati dashan shikare dharani tavalagna shashini kalanka kalevani magna. Vasati dashan shikare dharani tavalagna shashini kalanka kalevani magna. Keshavarita Shukara Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Keshavarita Shukara Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Keshavarita Shukarupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare. Keshavarita Shubhararupa, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Shukara Rupa, Jaya Shukara Rupa, Jaya Shukara Rupa, Jaya Shukara Rupa. Mahadeva Jaya Mahadeva Jaya Mahadeva Jaya Mahadeva. Jai Radhe, Radharshi ki jai, Radhadev appearance day ki jai, Lord Premanande. Hare Krishna. Read the translation of that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Hare Krishna, Prabhus and Matajis. We are very fortunate here to have a special guest amongst us. His Holiness Jananand Goswami Maharaj. He is a disciple of the founder Acharya of our movement, Srila Prabhupada. And let's give him a very, very warm welcome by lovingly chanting Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare.
So Maharaj will be taking class today, and just one request, we request all Prabhus, Matajis, please move forward as much as possible, because I think there will be more devotees coming. Hare Krishna. Please move forward, Prabhus.
Thank you very much, Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for inviting us here tonight, our first time here in this temple. A nice facility, very wonderful, very inspiring. We just sung a song today, as I mentioned. Holy Day today. And this song, Jayadev Goswami Das Avatar Stotram. O Keshav, O Lord of the Universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a boar. Doesn't mean he is what we understand as a boar, as such. He assumes that form for pastimes. Every form of the Lord assumes. His original form is there, of course. Govindamadi Purusham, the form of the Lord, the source of all forms. Are we going to be doing something there or not? There's no translation, I think. I don't know, you sat there as if you were going to translate or something. Oh, okay. I'm so used to having a translation in many countries. I go, can you hear me? I mean, it's not very loud. Can you hear me?
There's also a speaker in the back.
Can't speak much louder right now, unfortunately.
Can you make it louder?
I mean, maybe it's loud enough, but I'm just saying it doesn't sound from here.
It's not loud.
That's all I can say.
Bro, can we have it louder?
Don't know. So, Krishna takes on different forms. We do also, don't we, really? I mean, to come here tonight, you probably are dressed differently than you were. Maybe some of you work in an office somewhere or something. Maybe you dress differently when you go to the office, do you? Do you go with your tilak and dhoti and kurta when you go to the office? No? I mean, some people may, but most people don't. And when you go to sleep at night, you may also dress differently. And if you go swimming, you may also dress, well, not always. Last week the devotees didn't dress differently, they went straight into the ocean with all their clothes on. A couple of weeks ago in Byron Bay, we had a bit of a festival in the ocean there, Kirtan festival. But generally speaking, you put a different outfit on when you go into the water. Maybe you put sunscreen or whatever you call it on too, and different things according to the situation. You adjust. Well, Krishna adjusts too, but he doesn't adjust externally exactly. He may adjust the seeming external situation, but his body is always internal. It is not material. It's not that he has to impose anything. It's just out of his own will. He can assume any form he likes. Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he would sometimes assume the form of even Lord Varahadev. He would sometimes take that form, the house of Murari Gupta. The Lord may manifest the fact that he is the origin of all incarnations, as we call incarnations. But they're all coming from the same personality. Just the different forms of the Lord manifest different opulences, different natures, different shapes and sizes. Interesting, one time Prabhupada said, he was asked, why does Krishna have so many different, colors and shapes? And Prabhupada said, now just take this as an easy example. Some of you are married, and in family life, normally speaking, I'm talking normal here, the wife will always try to make arrangements for the husband's pleasure. In other words, if the husband likes a certain thing, food, clothes, incense, colors, flowers, whatever it is, the wife, if she can, will try to make those arrangements to please her husband. And similarly, the husband may do similarly, maybe bring some flowers for his wife, or something that the wife likes, not something she doesn't like. Well, he may do that also, for various other reasons, but in normal circumstances, you may bring home what the wife likes, and the wife arranges things for the husband's pleasure. Why? Because you want to please them. You love them. So in the spiritual realm, Prabhupada said this similar thing. Krishna takes on different colors and forms to please his devotees. And devotees like, I don't know if there's any Shastric statement, but you can see the logic of it at least. That, what's Radharani's favorite color? Huh? Blue. Blue. Like blue. So Krishna's blue. Krishna's form is bluish. Because I say it may not be true, but it's just giving the idea. Because of it says Krishna takes on the green color, because devotees like to see him green. He can take any color he likes. He can assume any form he likes. Totally independent. He's not, locked. Of course, the original form of Krishna, the two-armed form playing the flute, is, and so are the other forms, eternal. They're all eternal, but he can assume any other form he likes too. It doesn't mean he's not the same person. They all go on simultaneously. Unlike us, when you're in the bed, if you're in bed, you can't be in the ocean at the same time, maybe in your dreams. You can't be at work at the same time, sitting in your car, or whatever else you do, go out to the pub, or whatever you guys do. Or at home with your wife. I know what you get up to in your spare time. I'm sure they all go to the pub, don't they? Huh?
Not from here.
Not from here, no, but when you go outside. Go there to preach. Lord 19Jan tomorrow is his appearance day. He goes into pubs to preach. He loves going in pubs. He drinks too. Loves some Balaram. He likes his liquor. Anyway, we don't imitate Lord Balaram. Anyway, Lord Varadev, and people have... Imagine how it is, you know. A person who has no spiritual idea, which means more or less everybody on the planet, even including aspiring devotees sometimes. The idea that, you know, God appears in the form of a hog is like ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolute proof that this is all mythology. You believe this stuff? Are you mad? Is it? People have no spiritual understanding. Spiritual understanding. They don't understand that, you know, we're not the body. They only think in terms of body. Atmavan manite jagat. That, you know, with our experience, we think, you know, we try to, the word portray upon others. You know, it must be the same. That God also has, you know, God is made in the image of man. That's what it says, isn't it? God is made in the image of man. Is that what it says? Huh? What does it say, Mahabhadra? Oh, we got it the wrong way round. Oh dear, dear, dear. Bit of, not much, just nothing really, just the words the wrong way round. Got the words there. Yes, man, God is not made in the image of man. Man is made in the image of God. Everything is made in the image of God, not just man. Everything is an image of God. It's an expansion of God. Everything that exists. Whatever you see is nothing but an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, His various opulences and energies expanded to fulfill various personal and extended purposes. It's not like there is no competitor to God. It's not like there's some devil out there, you know, trying to, like, you know, take over the post. It's election time. All those in favor of the devil, all those in favor of God, sorry God, you're out. You got outvoted. You certainly get outvoted on this planet anyway. It's not like that. He doesn't get outvoted. Well, he might get outvoted by the gopis, by Radharani. He has no choice there. He allows that. That's his own internal, you can say his own internal pastime. But otherwise, there's no competitor to God. We may think like that, and that's why we're in this world. We think we're some kind of God competitor of some kind. Whatever is trying to prove that he doesn't exist, etc. Who was that saying? No, I can't remember the example. Someone gave a good example yesterday. Maybe it was Gauranga Prem, I don't know. Saying there was some kind of, somebody challenged somebody that, okay, you know, if you're so great, you know, and you think you can do things, then why didn't you make something, make a brick or something? Well, it's easy. It's easy as pie. Hey, just take some sand or whatever it is, clay. And God said, hey, wait a minute. Use your own sand, use your own clay, don't use mine. You've got to use your own. That's my clay you're using there. Maybe so proud of what we could, but where the heck do we get it from? We can't make anything except for a mess. We can't make anything. So, I'm going to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita, and you're familiar with this. Omagyantamrandasya nandana shlakaya takshirmalatam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha uchitamya novishtam apitam yena putile svayam rupagadamya. We don't have time to chant it all, we'll have to stop. Sorry. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vicharine Nivasesha Shunyavadi Pastachari Shatani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is 4-8, and without looking, you probably know what verse that is. Can anyone remember? 4-8 Bhagavad Gita. chapter 4, text number 8. Don't look on your mobiles, your iPhone, iPad, this and that. Huh? Yeah, who's speaking that? Who said that? Who was that? It sounded like a young man. Or was it you? You've got the book. Don't look. You're cheating. Easy to see in the book, isn't it? You know that verse? 4:8. You've probably got the book too, have you? Who's that somewhere at the back there? Yes, Paritanaya Sadhanam Vinashaya Chadushvitam Dharma Samstapanataya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. A famous verse, huh? What does Krishna say? English. We're in Australia now. English. Huh? What's the translation? It's one of those kind of root verses in the Gita, you could say. What's the English? What's that? Protect the demons and annihilate the devotees? That's the modern day philosophy, isn't it? Right? Practically speaking, even religion almost. Practically just stop real religion, establish this mundane image and interpretation. Exploitative. Yes, Krishna says to Arjuna, he sort of explained a few things, but now he's talking about why he appears in this world at all. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. He may appear in different forms too, just like Varahadev. He comes for a specific purpose, as you will most likely know, to lift the earth up from the nether regions or the Garbhodaka ocean and locate it back in its proper location. And that's basically the business of the Krishna consciousness movement. Of course, this Kali Yuga has its own course, but at least that's Lord Chaitanya's mission at this point of time, is to try to help people to refocus and get on course again. They've gone off course. They think that the goal of life is sense gratification, to enjoy the senses, and religion is another method of fulfilling that objective. That's all. With less, feeling bad about it. But that's not at all what religion is for. Religion is supposed to free us from this desire for sense gratification, free us from this material bodily concept of life, which extends into so many areas of isms, this ism, that ism, and so many what we nowadays term loosely religions. To free us from all that's why Bhagavad Gita, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is the really beginning of actual spiritual life. Sarvadharma Parityajya Kamasharanam, to give them all up. Give up all these other shelters and designations and you name it. Even in that verse Krishna describes it, it even refers to the fact that because up to then, basically speaking, Krishna says unto me this, that, the other, but he seems to infer mostly the super soul within. Even give up that, go beyond that, surrender to me personally in loving devotion. Not just in, rules and regulations and consciousness and so on and so forth, but and giving the fruits and all this, but actually surrender unto me, completely absorbed in me, the whole existence absorbed in me with love. So the beginning of complete surrender. Everything else leads up to it, but complete surrender when our entire being is completely absorbed in Krishna in every respect. And in terms of our contact with the material world, seeing this whole world also as nothing but Krishna's, or a form of Krishna in one sense. Sure, you can say material, but it's not really. It's just Krishna's energy is transformed. You see Krishna everything. We'll remember him everywhere. So he comes to teach real religion, not just some... that's also there. You could say Namitika Dharma, this religion which is related to the day-to-day affairs, which is really important, and mostly that's required. But it has to be connected to Nitya Dharma, the eternal objective, or the eternal constitutional behavior of the soul. But if people have no idea there is soul, or misunderstanding soul, then they can't understand Nitya Dharma. It's impossible to understand that unless various forms like Varahadev or so many things become inconceivable, impossible for people to digest or to comprehend. Therefore, those who are on that platform, the Lord Himself and anyone who is on that path or on that platform, may not emphasize that in public. But the whole objective of Varnashram, the whole objective of religion in its, you can say its pure state, if you want to call it that, is to bring people to that platform where they do get free of these bodily designations and start to have some realization we're not this body. This world is not mine. Nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Krishna. Education is meant for that purpose. It's not meant just to improve temporarily, which it may not do anyway, the material situation around us. We work so damned hard for nothing. It's actually quite stupid in one sense. You work so hard to get so many qualifications, and you work so hard to get some money, and then you work so hard to maintain the family, and you lose it all. Absolutely everything is lost, isn't it? Absolutely everything. What can we say? I mean, everyone's caught up in it, but it's kind of stupid, really, isn't it? Isn't that madness? If you were, I saw there was a racing course on the way, Kabramata there. Kabramata race course, somewhere near Kabramata. So I'm sure you go gambling. Tomorrow's the day for gambling, isn't it? Lord Nishananda likes a bit of a gamble too. You might be there if there's racing tomorrow. You might see him. But if you know, there's this horse. You're going to put your money on the horse. The horse has 3 broken legs. Is 50 years old. Can't breathe. You're going to put your money on it. You're going to put your money on it? Huh? Blind. You're going to put your money on it? Coughing and spluttering. Come on, there's a 1,000,000 to 1 against. Put your money on him. You've got a chance, you're going to win. It's only imagine you put $1, you're going to get 1,000,000. What chances are the horse winning? 1 leg. No eyes. Blind. Can't breathe hardly. 50 years old. I don't know how old horses don't live that long, but old anyway. No way. Even if you do offer me 1,000,000 to 1, it's pointless. But we're putting all our money on this horse. Even in old age, we're still putting our money on it. Right? 80 years old, you're coughing and spluttering. Can't see, your teeth have fallen out. The crinkles everywhere. Right? Can't eat properly. And still we're putting our money on it. It's called madness. Well, maybe I won't die. Maybe the doctors will discover something to rejuvenate me. Stick another tube in. It will keep me going. Pour something in there. Pull something out of there. Stick something in there. Help! The doctor saved me. But what can the doctor do? He can stick things in and prolong the misery, but that's about all he can do. Increase the karma. Make sure you suffer more in the next lifetime. And you don't have any idea what the goal of life is. Practically speaking, it's not to go to heaven either. That's a materialistic motivation. Of course, you could say it's more pious than otherwise. Still materialistic. They have very little understanding of what is spirit. So Lord comes into this world, whatever form it is, and He may establish different levels of Dharma or religious principles. They're all based on Nitya Dharma, the eternal constitution of soul, and they're meant to help us to, realize our spiritual identity and our eternal relationship with Krishna. And we're living on this tiny little planet. I mean, what's the name of this area of Sydney? What's it called?
Macquarie Fields.
Macquarie?
Fields.
I thought that was up the coast. We went all the way up the coast. Macquarie, isn't it? Up the coast somewhere?
It's Port Macquarie.
Oh, Port Macquarie. This is not Port Macquarie. Is it Macquarie what? Fields? Fields. Oh, we have fields here. That's nice. Fields, good. They probably built on all the fields now, but they are industrial estates. No more fields, industrial fields. So Macquarie Fields. And Macquarie Fields is, even probably Sydney people living on the other side may not know where it is. They may never have heard of it, maybe. It's a big city. And Sydney, of course, everyone on this planet in the human body is, maybe not, but most people have heard of Sydney. But, you know, in Sydney, Macquarie Fields is very insignificant. In Australia, yes, Sydney's a big city, but it's only maybe 20% of the whole country, or whatever it is, 25%. And Australia is a big country in the area, but population-wise, it's very small, isn't it? Compared to the world itself, 7+ billion. What you got here, 20, 24 million, something like that? Huh? 24. And Sydney's what, 5? About 5 for the suburbs. So about 20%. So it's, 25 million is not very much. So when you've got cities in the world that are more people living in than that. You go to Mexico, Tokyo, they've got more than 25 million people in one city. So, you know, the population of Australia is pretty small. And even the world, I mean, look at the world in this universe. How big is it? Is it big? Is it very big? No, it's tiny. It's like a grain of dust in the universe. And the universe is described as being numerous. This is only one of them. This is a small one. Now, even in this universe, we're here in this little time frame, tiny time frame, in a tiny little place, in a tiny little body, inside this tiny little house, and we call it a big one, but it's actually tiny, inside a tiny suburb, inside this tiny city called Sydney, in this tiny country called Australia, in this tiny planet called the Earth, in this tiny universe. And we think we know it all, we think we're so big and this and that. It's quite a bit of a laugh, actually, a bit of a joke. But people take it seriously because they have no knowledge. When you lived in a cave your whole life, that's the extent of your universe. That's it. You know, if you're living in a, like some insects, probably gives example, insect in an apple or some plant, they don't know anything outside that. That's their universe. They can't conceive of how the apple came about, what the apple's really for, or anything outside the apple practically. If a tiny insect's on our body, it doesn't understand this is your body. It just sees it as a source of maybe food sometimes. It doesn't have the intelligence to, and human beings don't have the intelligence to understand the whole. Or especially the Lord, He's a chinchi, He's inconceivable. Only if it's revealed to us. There's a process of revelation. But the revelation is coming from Krishna. It's not coming from our speculation. It's not coming from our endeavor exactly. Of course, there's appropriate endeavor to help evoke that method of realization coming from the Lord, where He removes the curtain of Maya from our consciousness so we can actually see the truth. And that also explained in this chapter, of course, in text 35, I think. Okay, so once you approach the spiritual master, inquire, you will understand that all living beings are part of your own mind. You will not be bewildered by this material energy, seeing everything in relation with Krishna. Right now we're seeing it in relation with ourselves, so naturally we all come up with a different philosophy and a different, it just creates so much, confusion. Everyone's got their own different perspective. Materially that's going to be the case. And of course we have to bear that in mind, we have different natures, but spiritually speaking, we don't judge the absolute through our relative perception. It's not possible. It's impossible. Takshi Krishna Namadina Bhavad Gwayamidri Seva Mukhahiji Vido Svayameva Spratyada. With our material condition, it is impossible to understand the nature of transcendence. We have to purify our senses by the process of, there's a process, just like there's a process of anything. If you want to do anything, work out how anything works or achieve anything, there's a process of attaining. There's a process of self-realization, not just mean our own self only, but in relationship with the Supreme Self. There's a process of realizing that, and that's Krishna's giving. At every stage, and every person who comes on behalf of Krishna teaches that process. It may only be a percentage of it. It's like Jesus Christ taught a little bit, and Muhammad taught a little bit, and Buddha taught a little bit. But they're not teaching the whole. They could teach the whole, but You know, it's like in education, you have to understand one thing before you can go on to the next. There's no point going on to the next. You won't understand it. So these topics are like Lord around. One time Prabhupada was asked, I don't know if it was Dayananda or someone asked him, Srila Prabhupada, how do we explain these things to the public? You know, which we find in the Bhagavatam and Mahabharata or Ramayana. How do we explain it? How do you explain it? You know, it's like, you see, 11th canto of Bhagavatam, you see, Ugrasena. How many bodyguards does Ugrasena have? Whatever that means. How many bodyguards do you have? You don't have any? Better get one, quick. How many did Ugrasena have? 33 trillion, whatever that is. What on earth they were doing, I do not know. Maybe had a lot of enemies or something, I don't know. What are they doing? Imagine having toilets for 33 trillion bodyguards. Beds, toilets, you name it, bathrooms. God, that's like inconceivable. And it doesn't necessarily mean exactly that. It means inconceivable in one sense. Sometimes it's described differently, but the actual figure, it comes to 33 trillion, which is ridiculous. What it means exactly we may not understand. But the point being, Prabhupada said, how do we understand it? How do we explain these things? Prabhupada said, you don't. Simple as that. You don't. There's no way they can understand it. No way. We have to explain that which is, Jesus said, many things I have to tell you, but you're not ready yet. You can't understand the basic things I'm giving you right now. How can I give you any more? Not possible. Waste of time. And you give that which is relevant. That which is, so the incarnations of the Lord come into this world to give that which is relevant, according to the receptivity. Different people can receive different types of education according to their ability to comprehend it. You give at every level. And most people are not at a very elevated level spiritually, so very basic things, moral principles are emphasized in most, if at all, if they're still following any of the original tenets. Moral principles and to bring us to at least the human platform. Most people are just they're just two-legged animals. These human bipeds, they're just two-legged animals, that's all. You know, animal consciousness. They think the goal is just to satisfy my senses. That's animal consciousness. The goal is not to satisfy my senses. The goal is to satisfy Krishna's senses, and by following some kind of dharma, some kind of religious principle, it's the beginning at least. It's the beginning of human life, even if it's just basic morals, Manu Samhita, whatever it is. And I know you're right, Krishna, some of you may be disciples of Mahavishnu Goswami, but emphasize that a lot amongst the Grihastas to follow at least the moral principles of human life, at least. We can't build unless that's there as a foundation. I'm going to read a little bit of this now. Where have we gone? Pages skipped. To deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. It's also to destroy or to annihilate the miscreants in our hearts, and to establish true piety. As you know, Yesham Twantagatum Papa Janana Punyam Karmanam. Unless one is pious and is freed of sinful reactions and acted piously in this life and previous life, the necessary determination, resolve, the devotional service to the Supreme Lord will not take place. As long as we're still attached to these objectives, these desires for material sense gratification, if we want to actually progress in spiritual life, then there has to be a process whereby we become freed of these attachments to material sense enjoyment. According to Bhagavad Gita, a saintly person, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And duskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants, or duskritam, are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind. So it's also described later on in the later chapter, verse 79, how those four kinds of persons do not approach me, Krishna says. different types of dushpritams, the foolish, the mudas, naradanas and so on, mayapitagyan, and so on. The foolish people, asuras, they do not approach the Lord. Even though he may be decorated with mundane education, whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned or well cultured. However, a sadhu is still following the, let's say, that primary principle of service to Krishna. But due to conditional life, he may be in certain conditions, maybe born in a situation where he is, qualities of so-called, and not those Brahminical qualities, etc. That doesn't disqualify anyone, but rather yasyasti bhakti bhagavritta kinchana gunaisavritta samasata saro harava bhaktasa tato mahakana manovite nasati davato behi. That those who are actually devotees, they develop all the good qualities. The qualities should also be developing in time of a devotee, of course. Whereas those, although materially speaking, they may seem to have many good qualities, their qualities are useless. Even if they have. Prabhupada, in the Bhagavatam, sometimes he translates it differently. In some places he says they have no good qualities, but in other places he said even they may appear to have good qualities from a material perspective, they are no value. Shrama evi kevalam. They are no value. So people may praise. Men who are like hawks, dogs, camels and asses praise those persons who are not interested in these topics of Krishna consciousness, etc. They're interested to hear about similar heroes amongst the hawks, dogs, camels and asses. So for such people, maybe we can emphasize they should worship Lord Varadev. He comes in a hawk form. He can be a hero of those who are like hawks, dogs, camels and asses. Prabhupada goes on, as far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demon Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demons harass the devotees even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa, she and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa. But both were performed simultaneously. Therefore it is said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses appear, summarize these principles of incarnation. I won't be as the Bengali. The avatar or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead that so descends is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material world, they assume the name avatar. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purushavatars, Gunavatars, Leela-avatars, Shaktivesh avatars, Manvantar avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Eti Chamsa Kalapungsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Lord Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxiety of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. And that's, of course, on that side, but even in the case of Lord Radhe, because of the anxiety, the distress of Manu and Lord Brahma, the Lord appeared to relieve them of their distress by replacing the earth, or the resting place, or the abode of all living entities, crossroads, you could say, back on its orbit, or its location rather than orbit. So in this way the Lord appears in different forms for that same purpose. The details vary. Lord Shri Krishna descends for this specific purpose, yes, especially this enlivening to show, of course, in Krishna's form the highest, the topmost, say, manifest form of the Lord, and the topmost relationship with the Lord, topmost level of pure loving devotion and service. he performs these pastimes, but all the pastimes. Prabhupada said Krishna performs so many pastimes in different forms, so we have something to think about, otherwise we'll be absorbed in material thoughts. So he performs so many pastimes with the idea that we have something serious to think about. And that's what we should be doing. Bhagavatam is based, we read it this morning, on the questions of the sages of Naimishranya, who asked many questions, and several of them we want to hear about the Lord's multi-incarnations, his various pastimes. Please tell us about these pastimes, which are so enlivening to hear. And again you see it throughout the Bhagavatam. Please tell us more about this pastime. Tell us more. We want to hear more. We want to hear more. That's the idea. That, not I've heard it all. Sometimes we hear Hindus, they say, I know all these things. They don't know anything. Nothing. I mean, they know some theory of something. Maybe it's wrong also. You probably heard it from Mayavad or something. But there's no real knowledge. It's not just something you learn, something you buy, something you get. It's actually a realization in the heart. That's what's being given here. That's the purpose of the Lord's coming in this world, to enliven the devotees, where they actually become absorbed. And the symptom of that is they're becoming freed of absorption in mundane topics. Becoming more and more absorbed, more and more absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna. The symptom of receiving the good fortune of the association of devotees. And therefore, the prime purpose for Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. By revealing all these pastimes, they become very enlivened. Krishna explains for Arjuna in the 10th chapter that the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are always surrender unto me, they're always engaged in my devotional service, and always enlivening one another, conversing about me and enlivening one another. These topics are very prashanticha, romanticha, they're very enlivening, they're very pleasing. They're very satisfying to the heart. They're very pleasing to the heart and the ear. When we hear them in the proper association, to hear about the forms of the Lord, his incarnations, his pastimes, and so on. This is the most pleasing topic. And you see that actually, it's amazing. Even you have these people done, and it's interesting, it's definitely got a part in the whole picture. Made these Mahabharats and Ramayana movies and this and that. At least it starts some kind of ball rolling. It may not be directly aimed at the goal, but at least the ball starts to roll. I was in France maybe last year before in one French lady's house. She was becoming interested in Krishna consciousness. We were having a little program in her house. And her child, she had a daughter, and her daughter had all her friends around. All the friends were Muslims. They were all Muslim kids. And the whole program, they sat in the corner of the room watching Little Krishna. You couldn't get these Muslim kids away from it. They didn't know what it meant. It wasn't even in French. But they couldn't get away from the screen watching Little Krishna. See, it starts the ball rolling. In the modern day that we're in, these are different ways of attracting people towards Krishna. Very effective. Whoever they are, we know who they are. But they've done a great service by producing those wonderful DVDs, whatever they call them, videos. And a very good service to help attract people's attention towards Krishna, because they remember those. It sticks in their heart, those nursery rhymes, those pastimes, Bill and Ben, the flower pot man, Jack and Joe, and up the hill. These things stick, don't they, from childhood. You don't have that in India probably, but in the West these were the sort of things that kids were watching, or listening, or reading. And they stick. They kind of stick in it. It formulates a certain kind of, veneer in our perception of the world. And it has a purifying effect. So it's very interesting. Different ways the Lord appears to purify us. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy name, and spread Krishna consciousnness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya is the incarnation of Krishna, Sometimes Prabhupada calls him incarnation because there's nothing wrong with that. Incarnation meaning one who comes within. It doesn't necessarily mean an expansion, but it means coming within the universe. The expansion are different. Lord Chaitanya is not an expansion. He is Krishna himself. He's Avatari. He's the source of the avatar. Whereas others, like Lord Varahadev, is an expansion of the original. The Lord Chaitanya is the original. The word incarnation can be used to mean he's coming within. Incarnation, the personality of Godhead is described secretly but not directly in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures such as Upanishad, Mahabharata and Bhagavatam. Is a hidden incarnation. Normally in this age the Lord comes as Surya Narayan, Gaura Narayan in the age of Kali. He also preaches the holy names, but not the Maha Mantra. And even if the Maha Mantra is there, it is not imbued with the same ras, Madhura ras. He doesn't really go that. Mainly reverential worship. Lord Chaitanya is given the highest cheating, secret, tricking. You probably say you have to trick, sometimes you have to trick them into taking the medicine. Like you have to trick the kids to take the medicine. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. Principle is the same thing, but more merciful. Lord Chaitanya is the more Mahal Vajnaya, is the most merciful of all the forms of Godhead. Most merciful. Luchandas Thakur sings that. Savavatara Sharashiromani Kevalanandakam. That beautiful song of Luchandas, that of all the incarnations or forms of the Lord, the form of Krishna is the most merciful. He is freely giving what no other avatars ever given. Well, there's two. Karuna Karuna Podijana Tagore Chandra Savavatara Sharashiromani Kevalananda Gandha Baju Baju Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudhira Vishwasa Kodi Vishayacharya Seva Semajiya Kebolo Mudihori Vishayacharya Simti Jia, Hari Hari, to actually taste the holy name, to fully understand the holy name, we have to become Vishayacharya. To enter into Vrindavan, we also have to be Vishayacharya. Narottam Das also sings that song. Vishayacharya Kabe Shuddhavima Kaviha Hero Shri Vrindavan. One has to become freed of this material motivation. Doesn't become free from matter, and it's free from the idea of enjoying matter, thinking matter is mine. Yes, we still live in the world, we still use this world, but not that this is mine for my sense gratification. Otherwise we remain bound up in this material world of samsara. We have to learn how to use our whatever we've got in a way which will release us rather than bind us. And that process of release cuts the knots of material attachment. Simple. Yodana jasanayapta karma grunta nibandana. Chindanti kovadastasya kona kuya kataratam. It's not difficult. It is difficult, of course, in one sense, but it's a simple answer. Srila Goswami says that the knots in the heart, all these attachments can be cut simply by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his messages? And we know who won't pay attention, most people, and including devotees, or at least beginning devotees. We also wander off into the world of other things. As soon as Krishna Katha starts, off we go. I'm busy. I'm very busy right now. I've got to go somewhere. I've got to do something else. I've got to watch the night movie or something. Got some text messages to send all of a sudden. Millions of things to do. But they're all lost, they're all wasted. The main thing is to come to this point of hearing, chanting about Krishna. Hearing and chanting. And that's in the association of devotees, this hearing and chanting becomes effective. So, in the proper association, we hear from Nivritasya, Bhagiyamana, Babhoshiti, Chottamanopiramat, Kuttama Shloka Gunana Vadat. We have to hear this Kuttama Shloka, the message of Godhead, from those who are actually not, those who are actually Charya Vishnu, those who are actually Visha Charya Kabe, those who are freed of this idea of wanting to enjoy even the fruits of devotional service, or to speak the fruits of material life, or the fruits of liberation, or the fruits of elevation to heaven, or the fruits of mystic yoga, etc. They have no idea, desire to enjoy them. They're all meant for Krishna's pleasure. Look at Krishna. No more, let's say, affection for all these things, no more attraction for all these things. We hear from such a person, then the effect of Baba Oshadi, the Baba Rog, the disease within our heart, Oshadi acts like medicine to cure us of this identification with this material. The problem, the basic problem of samsara is this I am mine. It's not karma, it's not maya, it's not something else. It's this false understanding of I am mine. So when we hear from someone who has the right understanding of I am mine, then we can also become cleansed of this illusion of who we are and what is mine and what's this and that. We can become free of that. It's called Maya. Maya simply coats our consciousness because that's our basic, ego, is that this is me and this is mine. So Maya coats the consciousness to convince us that this is me and mine, more and more. So to get free of that, we have to hear from those who are not under that influence. If you're bound up with ropes, karma grantha, you're bound in the ropes of karma, how can you get out? Even ordinary ropes, if you're tied up, you can't get out. Someone else has to come along who's not bound in order to release us. So to get out of this material where we have to hear from those who are not bound, and hear the right subject, the appropriate subject, that which is relevant to release those knots, maybe step by step, but at least to release them, and not just to release them, but also to change the cause that we're bound. One thing to release somebody, but then they go straight back into a knot again. They also have to be enlightened about the cause of being bound and how to be unbound and never get bound again. So don't be a bounder. You know this word, bounder? Who knows what bounder means? Interesting.
Cad.
A what?
A cad.
What's a cad?
A bounder.
I don't know what a cad is either. You have to put it in modern terms.
Rascal.
A rascal. It's an old English word. You're just a bounder. That means you're a rascal. So interesting. You're bound. You're a bounder. Don't be a bounder. Get free of don't be a bounder. Or a cab. Cad. Not cad. It's a cad. Nobody uses those words in that old English. And this is a simple process. Just expose ourselves to the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name and Krishna Katha in the right association, or the best you can get, wherever you are. You can be anywhere, of course, wherever we are, but we try to make the best arrangements we can so that the sound vibration, just like the sage in our shrine, where they didn't go to the opera house to, what they could have done, to hear from Sudha Goswami. It's okay if there's nothing else going on there. They went to a quiet, secluded place. They didn't go to, down in, what do you call it? What's the key down there in Sydney called? What do you call it? Circular Quay. They didn't go to Circular Quay and sit on Circular Quay on New Year's Eve and discuss the Bhagavatam. And fireworks going off and crazy drunkards everywhere. Vibrations going upside down, inside out, left and right. There is no completely focused, no disturbance whatsoever from the ether. In the ether, everything was silent. Their minds were completely focused as well, so sound vibration penetrated in. And as the more we open our consciousness, the more we allow the sound vibration to penetrate and to pervade our consciousness, then the more the effect will be. It will remove all of these clouds in our consciousness, material desires and false attachments and doubts and fears and you name it. We're covered with things, this false identity, completely covered with all this dirt. Must be cleansed away by exposing ourselves to the transcendental sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? I'll put my glasses on because I can't see without them. Very much. You can see, you can, vaguely. Any questions? Yes? Oh, there you go. Yeah, good to see you.
Maharaj, you said that in other Kali Yugas the Lord appears as Gaura Narayan. I've never heard of that form before. Could you explain a little about it?
Well, I can't remember the reference, but it's definitely there. Somebody may remember where that's actually referred, where the actual statement is. But it's very kind of like clear. He appears in every yuga to establish the Yuga Dharma. So the Yuga Dharma for every Kali Yuga is Harinam. It's not just this Kali Yuga. That is the Yuga Dharma. Kali Kalera Dharma Harinama Sankirtan. It doesn't say the Maha Mantra. It doesn't say, it's the Yuga Dharma for every Kali Yuga. It's Harinam. Now what that Harinam is, it may not be the same for everybody. Even in this age, it may not be the same. We have followers of the Sri Sampradaya. They may also chant Hare Krishna. But of course they are mostly, generally speaking, Om Namo Narayanaya. Is their main mantra. It's emphasized in the Ramanuja Sampradaya we had the other day, Ramanujacharya's disappearance day. So the mantra, the chanting of the holy name. Now there is in the, perhaps it's in the 11th canto, I don't know. It might be in the 11th canto where it gives, or 12th canto, where does it give the description of the various ages and the various yugas and the various dharmas of the various ages. You might find it in there. I can't remember. I can find out, you can find it. You go on Google and just put it in there and you will find it. Don't worry. Google Guru knows everything. Not always, but he knows a lot. You could ask Google Goswami and he'll give you the answer. We're not all knowing. I wish I could answer that exactly, but I can assure you it's there. That's all I can say. And if it's not there, you have every right to chastise me. It's just like one of those things, it's like, I just can't remember exactly where authorized source where it comes from. It's definitely not. Because in every millennium the Lord appears, and we know that this is the third 1,000 Kali Yugas in a day of Brahman. Lord Chaitanya only appears in one of those. The other 999, the Lord appears in another form, but for the same purpose. Now, I don't know any details. We say this is a 10,000 year golden period right now, a great opportunity to get out of it. It's not necessary that Kali Yuga is going to change. It's just there's a great opportunity to get out of it. It might change, but it doesn't mean, sometimes people always think that suddenly it's going to be like, everywhere is going to be like paradise or something. It might be. Sometimes they said it would be like the Satya Yuga, but what exactly that means, we don't know. And Prabhupada has also emphasized that it's not like that everyone's going to become a devotee, but it's a great opportunity for everybody to become a devotee. That's the point. Everyone's got the opportunity to get out of this world at this point of time. You never have to take birth again by the mercy of Mahaprabhu. And not just out of this world, but to the highest perfection of life. And not just the reverential worship of Vaikuntha, or the mixed worship of other realms, mixed reverence and spontaneity of, say, Ayodhya Dham, or whatever it may be, but the purest, topmost, loving experience of Krishna Lok, of the Gokul, of Krishna's topmost residence, you could say, where it's complete with all rasa, all qualities of it. Anything else? Someone knows the reference to that, you can tell us now, otherwise we will look it up on Google. Or something, maybe it's in the database. I've even got my database here. You passed me my computer. Is it here? Right there. Is it in the bag? Might be there.
No, it's not.
You bought it, you don't know where it is. It's gone. What happened to it? Where's it gone? Huh? Where's the computer? No idea?
He's dead.
The computer's where?
Oh, in the bag.
Is it in the bag?
No, it's not. It must be in your car. Which one? It might still be in your car. Which one is it? The computer?
That's right. Don't worry about it. It's a big hassle. I thought it was in the bag, but it's not. It is in the car. Any other questions? Don't worry about it, my friends. Big hassle. What type of plane have you got there? That's my question.
Just engaging the kids.
Oh, engaging. Any other questions? Yes,
How
ma'am.
does chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra affect us, and how does the consciousness change with pure chanting?
With pure chanting, my goodness. Hare Krishna. When any chanting is because it's non-different. Namachintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Krishna reciprocates according to our surrender. So there's also there's two aspects, one our side, one Krishna side. Krishna is there in full, Vinamanaminam. The name is Krishna in full. So it's by association, naturally our consciousness gets coloured, kalatmika. We get coloured by association with the modes of nature, goodness, passion, ignorance, and individuals who are under different influences of the modes. By coming into contact with them, objects of the world, we become, our consciousness becomes affected. You pick up as you go along. And so, for sure, if someone comes in contact with the sound of the holy name, they're going to get affected. It's going to touch their consciousness, because it's Krishna himself, and he's all pure. He's Pavitram, completely pure. Others may be partially pure, so you're going to get a relative effect from their association. But those who are absolutely pure, you get a pure effect. So it depends. Again, there will be effect for benefit for everyone. The degree of benefit will also depend on how much you take advantage of that association. Pure chanting the holy name means without any interference. It doesn't mean that there's no ulterior motive. It's anyabilasita shunyam jnana kamajinavatam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. It's not with any other motive whatsoever. It's completely pure. And it's simply for the presence pleasure of the Lord, but we may not be on that platform. But we are following, or try we should be. If you want to come to pure devotional service, you have to come to follow somebody who is on the platform of pure devotional service, even if we're not. It's not just a question of taking our application and doing it. We have to follow them. We have to actually be connected with them. Then the holy name will reveal himself fully. Otherwise you get a partial, like a shadow of the holy name only, not the full thing. It's still something. It will eventually fructify, but it may take many lifetimes for that to happen. The seed is still there, but it's not going to grow. It grows by mercy. It grows by the association of pure devotees, by their mercy. The Lord then, whatever else is required, the Lord does his part and actually purifies our heart. It's not that we're purifying our heart. It's the degree of your faith in the pure devotees and the holy name. The Lord then will purify your heart. And he wants you to go back to Godhead. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to realize your spiritual identity more than we do. But he's not going to force it upon us. And it comes about by proper association. So the more if we receive the holy name from the right source, and if we have the process, by the process we have to follow, we follow the process of chanting and hearing, according to the direction of the pure devotees of the Lord, and we try to apply it, not just mechanically, but we try to be conscious when we chant. Understand this is Krishna himself. Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. The holy name is Krishna himself. It's not just something that leads to Krishna. It is Krishna. And the more we're attentive, like Sutta Goswami describes in the 3rd chapter, 1st canto of Bhagavatam, hear this with rapt attention. And Prabhupada says you'll see Krishna on the pages of the Bhagavatam if you hear it with rapt attention. You'll see Krishna. is not just some imagination. Well, actually, Krishna will reveal himself if we hear with rapt attention. So that's our part. We try our best to hear and depend upon Krishna's mercy. And he's the one who actually clears the heart, cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together. Nasta Praishu Badrishu Nityam Bhagavat Se Bhagavati Utamashloka Bhakti Bhagavati Nashtaki. By regularly attending classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, rendering service to the purity of all that is inauspicious to the heart is practically destroyed almost to nil. Krishna removes the impediments in our heart, but we have to make our effort. We make our effort and depend on Krishna. So we have to try to associate as much as we can with Krishna in his various forms, coming from the right source. Even if it's from the wrong source, there's still some remote benefit, but it will take time. And if you're sincere, Krishna will bring you to the right source. It will have that hooking effect. You find that? Okay, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all very much. Nityananda Ram ki jai. Tomorrow is his appearance day, so please join us at the temple tomorrow evening, so whatever time it is. I know from 6 o'clock onwards, but maybe earlier than that for sure. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Where is Mahavishnu Goswami's Srimad Bhagavatam that he was his constant associate? Where is it now?
It's in Rajkot.
Is it like in a
they've
altar?
preserved it
Like on an altar or something?
They've preserved it in his room, and there in a glass box.
Yeah, it's a worshipable item for sure. All the times we were together, I never saw him without that Bhagavatam. At least somebody had it right next to him all the time.
Yes, yes.
At the moment, that was a great thing. And it's so wonderful to have the opportunity to associate with Mahavishnu Goswami for so many times. Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Jayananda Goswami Maharaj ki
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mahavishnu Goswami ki jai. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami ki jai.
So as Maharaj was very as well, I remember the first time I heard from His Holiness Jayananda Goswami Maharaj about 15 years ago in Sydney, and there he gave a class on Bhagavad Gita verse Yavan Artha Udapane Tataha Sampluto Totake Tavan Sarvesu Vedesu Brahmanasya Vijanata. And Maharaj said, I think that was one of the first verses that inspired him in Krishna consciousness. And the sum and content of that verse was that the greatest Vedantist is one who understands the purpose behind the Vedas, and the purpose behind the Vedas is chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And ever since I've known Maharaj, whatever little I know, one thing we've always seen, that he sings full of heart and very ecstatically kirtan, and we just saw a glimpse of it this afternoon. Maharaj was saying he's very tired, but nonetheless it was so enlightening to the ears and the heart to hear Maharaj. So without further ado, we were going to have a Siksha ceremony, but Maharaj has to go early as he has 3 programs tomorrow for Nityanand-Trayodasi. So we extend invitation to all devotees to please come to those programs at North Sydney Temple in the morning tomorrow, and then at midday at Shamanand Prabhu's place.
Everybody?
Yes, please.
Everybody, okay. Everybody is welcome.
And in the evening again at the temple. It's Nityanand-Trayodasi, the most auspicious day. The Lord grants a lot of mercy. And since most of the devotees here for the first time taking the Siksha commitments, so today is the good day to bring Maharaj will bless us all. And so please start from today, and the formalities of that perhaps we'll do it in a few weeks' time. Let us all chant very lovingly to thank Maharaj, and also to request him to come here again in his next visit to Sydney. Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So the devotees have prepared some prasad.